Welcome back to another episode of Crypto and Things. I'm your host, Scott Cunningham, aka Scottsy Business, and today we're going to be talking about crypto, more specifically Bitcoin, USD, US dollar, and gold, and really more importantly, their purchasing power. Because I ran into a very shocking statistic yesterday or 2 days ago, and it was that 23.6% of all US dollars were created in the last year. Now, whether or not we felt the effects of this yet is yet to be seen. I mean, obviously prices are skyrocketing, but not to that degree. So we haven't felt these effects just yet, but we will. We always do. This is how it works. The main thing that I wanted to get across with this video is that if you're not investing in assets, gold, Bitcoin, stocks, you're going to lose. Terrible, awful things are going to happen. It couldn't be any more of a potential crisis for the U.S. economy and naturally North American economy and probably the world as there is now, right? There's never been a more concerning time in history where we've seen something like this that has been so exponential and really setting us up for just one of the worst economic crisis that we've ever seen. And there's not much more to be said other than you need to invest your money so that you don't lose all of its value. Because naturally, just by basic math, it would only make sense that if 23.6% of all US dollars were created this year, that naturally the prices of everything would have to increase 23.6%. Again, we haven't seen that yet. But if that were to happen, people would be just devastated. It would just be so bad for everyone. The only thing that you can do is invest. Invest in assets, invest in appreciating assets, or even just defensive assets, just anything that is going to keep your money from losing more value. I'm holding less and less fiat money, which is just like Canadian, US dollars. I'm holding less and less of that in my bank account, etc., than I ever have before, because it needs to go somewhere that it's not going to lose value. If we realize this very, very soon, it's going to be devastating. It's going to literally destroy lives. We're going to see some sort of crazy revolution or economic collapse. I have no idea what's coming. All I can tell you is this is unprecedented. The amount of money, the money supply, you can see here, again, exponential gain. Year over year money supply surge, largest in history. A lot of people refer to, something similar to this, where you look at the value of purchasing power for the US dollar since the 1900s, and it has dropped about 95, if not more than 95%. You can see there's all these, important things that happened in history, and you could say, oh, well, there was the war and there was this, and you can point to all those things and, come up with as many excuses and reasons as you want as to why that isn't, going to happen now. But we have one of the most intense or most impactful setups for an economic collapse in North American history, and probably for the whole world, because this is going to affect everyone naturally, because the US dollar is by far the largest currency in the world. Bitcoin is actually past Canadian dollars in terms of its value, which is pretty wild, being a Canadian myself, knowing that one cryptocurrency already has more money than the country does in terms of the value of our fiat dollar. But it's easily explained. It's because they're devaluing it every year with inflation, whereas Bitcoin is increasing in value every year because it's becoming more scarce and its inflation rate is going down, where the inflation rate of most currencies are going up exponentially in many cases. This is hyperinflation, if there ever was any, right? So again, this is terrible information, but This is why I've been taking all of my money, buying dips, buying Bitcoin at extremely high prices, buying Ethereum at extremely high prices. It has nothing to do with me being like, oh, it's probably going to just go way up in value. It's more so, I don't want to lose money, right? Before I even think about gaining a bunch of money, I don't want to lose value. I've never had more money in my life than I have had now. And that's because I've been indulging cryptocurrency. I've been getting gold. I've been investing in stocks. Now, stocks are a whole different game because what tends to happen in economic collapses is people will sell all their stocks in order to have liquid funds to be able to afford the crazy rising prices. Again, if everything went up 23.6% in price, that would devastate people, and they probably would end up selling a lot of things to be able to just afford to get by. If your cost of living from this year to next year goes up by 23.6%, that's going to ruin a lot of people. And that's very scary. So the only thing that you can do, again, is investing in assets to protect yourself and your wealth and your family and everything that's important to you. When people tell me, yeah, but I just don't have the money right now to be investing, I say, yeah, and you won't have it ever. You're going to have less and less and less. There's no better time to start investing than yesterday, and the next best time is today. So, it's very, very important that people internalize what's actually happening here. Again, this is another, similar graphic to what I showed before, but the buying power of a bill of a US dollar from 1913 to today, that's what that looks like, right? And, people say it's like, well, if you had $1,000 100 years ago, you'd have $1 million today. That's not a good thing. That's actually, it sounds like a good thing, but it's actually the opposite. What it really means is that $1,000 would buy you the same things because everything just went crazy higher in price, right? And like, you ask an old relative and they say, yeah, back in the day, you could buy a bag of chips for like 2 cents or a nickel or whatever. Today, it's like, $1, $2. It's only going to keep rising. It's going to rise as inflation rises as well. Naturally, it's the only way that companies selling consumer goods can continue making their same profits. They can't do nothing. They have to raise their prices, and they will. And with Corona, tons of people out of work, this is all being sped up exponentially. Some people will say, this has been a flawed system from the beginning, whatever, let's just let it fail. I believe it's called accelerationism, where they're like, let's just push it to the max, have it fail, and then just deal with it and get it over with because it's inevitable. Because people will say like, yeah, but investing is risky, but keeping your money in fiat dollars is the riskiest thing you can do because every year it's going to go down in value. And with this, it's not just sort of going down in value, but like regular inflation, like, 1.8% or whatever it happens to be. No, it's going down in value exponentially. So imagine for a second that if right now you bought bread and it costs you $1, we're just using arbitrary prices here. Next year, if the value were to increase like this, it will then cost you $1.23. Now that seems insignificant, by itself. But when you apply that to everything that you own, everything that you buy, everything that you need, and it all goes up that amount. Well, did you get a 23.6% raise? No, you didn't. So how can you afford this? How can you afford the difference? You can't. You're just going to have less money unless you've got currency of some form that you can spend that is also going up in value, or at least hedged against inflation, like gold. Now, gold is not very useful for spending, and I can't just bring a gold coin and spend it at the grocery store. Same with stocks. People tend to sell out of all of their positions when this, an economic collapse happens, because they need liquid funds. You can't buy something in the grocery store for, 0.001 of a Tesla stock. You have to just sell the stock, and then you can't get any more appreciating value from it. With cryptocurrency, you can in fact buy it at a fraction, tiny decimal value, and spend it at the grocery store. Some people, well, most people, I would say, are unaware that that's even possible right now, right? You can buy gift cards with Bit Refill and spend those. You can get a crypto Visa card like I have with Bitvo or Local Coin, and then spend your crypto like that. Whatever way you decide to do it, there's many ways to do this. But whatever way you decide to do this, even if you just have your crypto and then you sell it out slowly into fiat and then use it like that, even that's probably better, because it's much more liquid. Either way, though, this is going to affect everyone. It doesn't matter where you live. It doesn't matter, how wealthy, how poor you are. This is going to affect you. And again, the only thing you can do is invest to get ahead of this. I have been going to extreme lengths to be able to invest as much as I possibly can. In the last Bitcoin dip, maybe it was risky, maybe it was dumb, but I nearly drained my checking account to like $200 in my checking account. That's all I had left. And I invested all that into the dip of Bitcoin when it went down to 16,500. Now, it's still volatile, it's still all over the place, but I've made quite a bit of money since then if I were to realize my gains right now. That's not important though. The important thing is that once this starts to become more realized in the economy, when you go to the store and you notice that the price is exponentially higher, they already are higher now than they were at the beginning of the year. The difference is though that now less people are working. Obviously no one's getting probably any raises, but if goods go up 23.6%, again, people have to deal with this somehow. As people realize this and start to invest in things like gold and Bitcoin, etc. more, Bitcoin again being probably the best option in my opinion, or Ethereum, different forms of very high cap popular cryptocurrencies, is because it's going to be the easiest to transact. It's the most liquid. It's going to have the lowest fees to actually do these things. Bitcoin, cryptocurrency in general, it's going to be the most convenient way to save yourself. And that sounds a little cliche, but again, if you really internalize what I'm showing you here, like, this is going to ruin people. Like, I expect a full-on economic collapse. So, well, here, let's take a look at a few more data points here. This is the past year, right? If you had $1 1 year ago, say, and this is, the percent or whatever, 98% of the value, or I can't get to the actual spot, but, say you had $1 and it actually went up a little bit, but then it has continued to exponentially go down. And if you had $1 at the beginning of this year, currently, according to this, you would now have 90 cents, right? That means if you had $100,000 in savings, you now have $90,000 in savings. But you say, no one took any money out of my account. Yeah, that's why people aren't up in arms. If people actually saw their bank account going down, thousands and thousands of dollars, they would be out in the streets. It would be mayhem. So instead, inflation is the secret tax on the middle class, because everything just raises in value in terms of like the prices of things, not really raises in value, but everything costs you more, but you're not actually making more money. You're not able to afford this. It's just more expensive. And this is just the past year. I mean, we looked at the past 100 years. This is just the past year. And again, This is the beginning. 23.6% of US dollars were created in the last year. I don't think this is going to start going way up. I think this is just the beginning, right? The 10% that we've lost here is not the full realization of what has actually occurred. It's going to get worse. And all this stimulus, all the things that are happening, do you think people are using that to buy consumer goods, to buy more TVs, to go on vacations? They can't do any of this stuff. People are just paying down debt. So the economy is not like, it's not chugging along again. It's not doing so amazingly. And this has just been insane. And I don't know if it's going to get worse or not, but it's definitely not going to get better. They're not going to start destroying currency to make up for this. So it's not going to get better. It's either going to be this bad or get worse. But we haven't realized this yet. So again, this is what all of my investing strategy is based on. It's based on the fact that, forget trying to make a bunch of money. Just being concerned about not losing insane amounts of value. But again, the regular average person looks at this and says, oh yeah, but my bank account isn't $10,000 less. You can't, what you'll be able to buy next year will be that extra $10,000 worth that you'll end up spending, right? That's what it is. It's that everything that you spent this year, for me, my expenses for the year are about $25,500 Canadian or so. So let's assume that everything goes up 23.6% in price. That's going to have a profound impact on my expenses. Over $30,000 naturally would be what they would cost next year if I were to keep the same lifestyle. Naturally, though, because you guys know I'm very, very frugal, I literally spend so much time trying to find ways to save money so that I don't get screwed with this. And then I can invest that money in appreciating assets to just keep myself safe and ideally invest in the future so that I can eventually get out of the rat race. Yeah, this is concerning stuff. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. I mean, everything you needed to know from this video, you could have found out in the first 1 minute when I just shared this stat. Like, this is the only thing that matters. This is going to devastate the economy. And you just got to invest in things that are appreciating in value. And again, you don't have to take my word on Bitcoin being the thing that you should invest in. Invest in real estate, in whatever you decide to invest in. Just invest in something that will naturally appreciate in value. The economy is being devastated. And this is the only thing that we can do to protect ourselves. So we look at Bitcoin then in the past year, right? Say you bought Bitcoin at $7,000. Now it's at $18,800. All right. So whatever I could have bought at the beginning of this year with a Bitcoin, I could now afford more than double. Let me say that again. If I were to buy, well, we'll use my original example of the $25,000 of expenses, right? So if I kept everything in fiat and naturally realized these the actual change in value and prices here, again, we've already seen a 10% change, but assuming that we do see the 23.6%, naturally my expenses will become over $30,000. With Bitcoin doubling, if all of my currency, all of my money was in Bitcoin, more than doubling, I would only have to spend somewhere around, like $12,500 or $13,000, probably less even, to be able to afford the same things today. So what I'm really getting at here is that if you're holding on to appreciating assets, it's going to be easier to acquire these things, and it's going to go up faster than inflation, and all this crazy stuff is going to bring the prices up as well. Ideally, Bitcoin is going to rise faster than these crazy prices are. And I mean, we see here at the very least, it's it's holding its value. Whereas this is going down. People say, yeah, but Bitcoin is risky. There's all these dips. There's all this stuff going on. That's true. But Bitcoin is risky in terms of its volatility. The price changes a lot. The US dollar is risky in that it's controlled by a single entity that at any time can mass print and completely devalue your savings. Again, if you had $100,000 in the bank and this is actually realized, then you'll end up with only having like 70, I don't know why I can't do math right now, like $76.4 thousand dollars. Insane. Like, could you imagine just you've saved up all this money, it's your life savings, and in 1 year, almost 1/4 of it is gone. And then what happens next year? How much more next year? How much more the year after that? How much more the year after that? I can't imagine what's going to happen to retirees. How will they survive if the prices go up like this when, they've got their specific budget of what they can afford? It's sad. It's sad. It's scary. That's why I want people to help themselves by preparing for this. At the very least, being prepared for what is to come. That's it for today. I hate to be all doom and gloom, but this stuff is huge. It's important. It's going to affect everyone, and there's not very many people that are very conscious of their personal finance or budgeting, who are investing, who are saving and being frugal. And I have many friends that I'm afraid will have extremely negative effects on their finances because of what's coming. And they probably won't even be watching this video, so that's really unfortunate. But look, I want everyone to win. I want everyone to do well. Fiat currency, US dollars, Canadian dollars, it's all trending to zero. It's a zero-sum game. Crypto, gold, stocks, they're all trending away from zero. They're all going up. They're trending up. Over the long term, they're going up. So, you can make your own decisions as to what you actually want to invest in. I personally, look, this isn't financial advice. I'm not an expert by any means. All I know is there is data out there that we can research, figure this out yourself, and then come to your own conclusions. The conclusion that I've landed on is that if I bought $7,000 of Bitcoin and had, 1 Bitcoin at the beginning of this year, and I looked at my value of it now, and it's more than doubled, and I can afford double of what I used to be able to afford, that's way better than holding US dollars and thinking, oh, well, this is stable and this is safe. And then, you realize next year that actually you only have 75% of what you previously had. That is mortifying. But again, people feel very secure with fiat currency because it's only slowly going down. If anything, the promise that you can get from fiat currency is that it's only going to lose a bit of value. But lately, because it's controlled by, a few amount of entities, they've decided to completely devastate the value. And this could be the beginning. But again, they're not going to burn currency to improve its value. So you can be sure that it's either going to get worse or be relatively, the same. But again, I'm pretty sure it's going to get worse. There's no solution that they can come up with it to just reverse what they've done again, unless they burn currency, and that's not going to happen. So let me know, what do you guys think? What are you doing to prepare for this? Were you at all aware of this? Do I sound like a conspiracy theorist? I don't know. I'm just giving you the data. This isn't my opinion that I'm making some magical prediction. I'm just looking at what is going on and preparing myself for the future. And so far, my investments have yielded amazing returns. And I'm not an expert. This is me amateurly doing this stuff. The point of me being an amateur is that you don't need to be, or you shouldn't be like scared, like, oh no, like I don't know enough about this. Like I'm just going to continue holding my fiat and lose all of its value. And then terrible things are going to happen to me and my family because I just didn't want to act because I wasn't sure. Again, this isn't financial advice. So, if Bitcoin does dip or whatever happens, and then you decide to sell instead of holding long term, don't be upset with me. But I'm telling you what I'm doing. I'm investing. I'm buying the dips. I'm throwing all of my money at this. And we might see a peak of Bitcoin around October of next year, according to the way that the halving cycles work. I'm probably going to invest in real estate at that point. So we'll see what happens. Again, let me know. What are you guys doing to invest? Are you investing in crypto, stocks, gold, Bitcoin specifically? Let me know. And let me know what you think about all this money printing, all this inflation, where people's heads are at. Where's your head at with personal finance? Are you budgeting? All these different things. So important. Personal finance has never been more important for you and your family, because we've been living in amazingly easy and great good times for the past many years. And the next, I don't even think we're in the bad times yet. It feels like it, but we're not there yet. It's coming. And all we can do to be prepared is invest in our futures and try to scale back on our spending and, all these different things. Focus on lifestyle foundation. What do you need to get by? Focus on that, budget for that, invest the rest. Most people are inflating their lifestyle. And with the prices of everything naturally going to be going up, again, I don't see many people getting raises this year. I don't think anyone's getting raises of about 25%. So this is what we have to do. Let me know what you guys are doing in the comments below. And as always, thank you so much for watching. If you think that this was important, definitely give it a like, share it with people who need to hear this, which is basically everyone, and subscribe. Thank you.